Was the music audible?
It wasn't so clear, ma'am.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
And it wasn't so clear, ma'am.
It was not so clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think that will be it's going to be issue from Zoom then. It was really loud.
What's going to happen, ma, is this. I think I will. Okay, you have only one device, ma'am.
Yeah. I'm using one device, but I mean the music was actually coming from TV.
I was hoping
Hello, everyone.
maybe it was a second device.
Let's start the show now. Good evening and welcome to another Runu section. I am Holakuju Ayola. Immigration and migration are words that are commonly used globally. It is quite common in Western world to come across terminology such as first-generation immigrant, second-generation immigrant, third-generation immigrant, and so on. It's a distinction that you become accustomed to if you live in the Western world. I am a first-generation immigrant. I was born in Yoruba land. I am an European citizen, but I am not indigenous to Europe. I have siblings who are second-generation immigrants because they were born to a first-generation immigrant. And therefore, that tells you that no matter how many years you spend in Europe, for instance, and you've been generations of first-generation immigrants, you're still considered as an immigrant. Citizenship, it's a privilege, not a birthright. But what does this mean for Nigeria? A country of nations, whereby the constitution that wasn't the original arrangement of the independence allows people from all across the country to live on ancestral land where they didn't apply for residency and work permit. Co-hosting with me tonight are Madam Ajoke Ade, who will be moderating the Q&A, and Mr. Jolomi, who would be coordinating the calls from WhatsApp and as well as speaker on space, and as well as Madam Ajoke, who is behind the scene moderating. I'll present to you tonight our speaker, the president of TYF, Are Bolariwa Oladimiji. Are you ready to give us a powerful lecture tonight?
Yeah, I'm always ready, ever ready. Yeah, I just want to greet everybody throughout the world where you're listening to me. It's a great honor to be here today. And I really want to thank the entire team of TYF worldwide for working day and night to make this a possibility. I want to greet all the elders listening to me. I also want to greet all our men and women, youths all over the world listening to me. My name is Oladimiji Bolariwa, and I'm the president of Think Yoruba-First organization worldwide. Today, we are talking about a very powerful topic, and the topic is titled, what is Nigeria? Is it a country of settlers, a country of indigenes, a country of residents? Before I proceed, I would like to know if all our channels are now up and running. We are currently streaming on Facebook Live, on Think Yoruba First handle on Facebook. We are currently streaming on Think Yoruba First TikTok live. We are currently streaming on Think Yoruba First Telegram channel community. We are currently on Space, and I'm also on the Twitter Space, which is being hosted by the TYF School of Geopolitics and Do. We are currently being audiovisual means being streamed live on TYF main handle and the TYF park handle, political action committee handle. So it's really an honor to be here today, and everywhere you're listening to me today promises to be very, very interesting. Before I proceed to the lecture proper, I would like if the technical crew can give me the go ahead to ensure that we are all set on all our different platforms. And we're also live on TYF YouTube. So just Google Think Yoruba First, Google, you are going to find us there. So we are also live. And today promises to be very, very educative, instructive, and very, very insightful as usual. So Madam Beju, please, are we live on all our platforms before I start the lecture? Can I get a yes or a thumbs up before I start? Okay, thank you very much. So we start the lecture. I greet us all in the name of Olodumare. I greet us all in the name of the ancients, and I greet us all in the name of those who founded Ile-Ife and the entire Yoruba civilization. Today's topic is a very, very important topic. Today's topic is a topic that has not been properly talked about in Africa, and has not been properly talked about in certain places in the world. But if you come from places like South America, North America, and even North Africa, and some places in the Middle East, or you come from Australia and you are indigenous to those places, you will surely understand and value the importance of the topic we are discussing today. So what is today's topic? What is Nigeria? What exactly is Nigeria? Is it a country of indigenous people? Is it a country of residents? Or is it a country of settlers? The question I've asked today, has been a question that has been answered via different means, via different capacity and capability for the past 5,000 years of human history. Ever since the first empires were built on the sands of time on this planet Earth, the question of who is a city, who is an indigene, who is a settler has always been asked. There's a reason why civilizations like China, there's a reason why civilization like Russia, the Russian civilization, has always, or the Germanic civilization, has always been studied by different people. And a lot of people have always marveled because these are civilizations that have always stood the test of time, because these civilizations are continuum. And for a civilization to continue, the people that actually own that civilization must continue to exist. Not just exist, they need to continue to thrive and they need to continue to prosper. So, but we have a problem because the world has always been a war between indigenous people and settlers all over the world. If you study the Bible, you study the Holy Quran, you study different histories, you different religious texts, it has always been one nation, one kingdom, one empire, waging war against another kingdom, against another empire. That has always been the way of the world. And we need to ask ourselves, has this changed? Has the world changed? The world has not changed. It is only the people that are within, that are in the world, that are just, people are dying and new people are being born every day. So we need to ask ourselves this, another rhetorical question once again. Who is a settler? Who is an indigene? And I also want to state this. A land is yours in as much you can die for and defend that land. A land you cannot defend does not belong to you. Cultures have been erased. Cultures have been appropriated. People can love your culture. They might love your Owambe and have total disdain for you. We've seen that in Nigeria. And I'm going to cite two examples in history. I know most of you listening to me today, if I probably bring out a cup of chocolate or wraps of chocolate, a lot of you are going to take it from me. Everybody likes chocolate. The question is, who were the inventors of chocolate? Chocolate was made, was one of the inventions of the Native Americans on the American continent. I know a lot of you love avocado. You love that fruit. If many of us boast about the greatness of the Western region, how cocoa changed the fortune of the Yoruba people in the First Republic. But these are things, are fruits, plants, cuisines that were invented by people that have been erased from the surface of the earth. Now, it was those who erased them who actually appropriated those cultures, those cuisines, and spread it all over the world, and they even commercialized it. So it is possible for people to hate you, to disdain you, and still commercialize what you own and what you have. We've seen the case of a particular lady currently in Lagos State who is currently using the nonchalant attitude of the political leaders, people that are in authorities within Yoruba land, who is taking advantage of the Yoruba identity to make a name for herself and giving the Yoruba identity a different identity. I listened to her when she said the Owambe identity is not a Yoruba identity. And she said She's not showing Yoruba culture, she's showing Lagos culture. That is the definition of insanity. It's like somebody said, I'm showing Anambra culture, I am not showing Igbo culture. Somebody saying, I am showing Bayelsa culture, I am not showing Ijo culture. Or somebody saying, I am showing Borno culture, I am not showing Kanuri culture. That is the definition of insanity. But if you go into history, this has happened several times. And it is always people with a secular ideology that move and behave in this way. Now, who is a secular? Now, migration, human migration is more than 10,000 years old. Human beings have always been moving from place to place. Migration is part of human existence. This is where there's now a difference between residents and settlers. There is no free land anywhere in the world. And there is no place you get to on this earth, even in the hottest place in Sahara Desert. Those are the ancestral heritage of some people. And some people are going to tell you this land belongs to our forefathers. Now, the question is, the land that belongs to their forefathers, does it actually belong? Now, who does it belong to? How did they get it? And how are they protecting it? Now, a resident moves into a new place. He learns the culture, learns the language, and what does he do? He or she tries as much as possible to assimilate into the host community. But for in the case of settlers do not have, they have total disdain for the indigenous people. They might love the land, they might love their food, they might love their women, they might love their men, but they hate the people who own it. And what settlers are always doing, they are always trying to upturn the political power of the indigenous people. So the question you need to ask yourself, look around. Even you as a Yoruba man, when you get to a particular place that is not a Yoruba space, are you behaving like a resident or are you behaving like a settler? The term quote unquote settler, it's a big issue in the world, in geopolitics. Because that is where we talk about settler colonialism. Anytime people, you can be a resident and you participate in the local politics of the indigenous people, they might even permit you to become who you are because you've integrated into the system. But as for settlers do not integrate into the system. In fact, they redefine the culture of the indigenous people. And settlers, they are always after the power of the indigenous people. Somebody comes into Lagos and says Lagos is no man's land. That's a settler, that's not a resident. There's a thin line between a settler and an invader. A settler, oftentimes, whose political activity is always premised on power and taking over power from the indigenous people. That is not just a settler, that is an invasion. And that is one of the reasons why you look at places where perhaps non-indigenous people, they outpopulate the indigenous people. Places like the United Arab Emirates, oil-rich Qatar, where it is the foreigners that, for instance, let me give you an instance. The indigenous people, the real Qataris, are not up to 1 million people. But the non-Qatari people that are in Qatar, they are close to 3 to 4 million. If Qatar was practicing democracy, one man, one vote, liberal democracy, and Qatar starts giving out passport. If you live here 5 years, you live here 10 years, become a Qatari citizens. In less than 20 years, outsiders will take over Qatar because it is politics, it's democracy, game of numbers. And Qatar will no longer be an Arab country. Let's say it was the Indians that were more in Qatar. Within the space of 20 years, because it is those who control the political power that will determine the culture of a place. We cannot say Lagos is Yoruba land when the people that control the political power, the economic power in Lagos are Igbos or Fulanis. You cannot say somewhere is Yoruba land, Ibadan is Yoruba land, and the chairman, the councillors, the governors are Igbos. That means that this place is no longer Yoruba land because it has been taken over. And it is those who have the political power that will now determine the future. They will write laws, make legislations. They can make laws to determine which language should be suppressed and which language should be promoted. We've seen it in Nigeria, where people use political governors, have created kings where there was no kingdoms. We see it also in Yoruba land, where places, historical cities that we know they are not kings, they are not obas, they are baales, they've been uplifted to become obas and nothing happened. Because it is those, the new power brokers in the world currently are the politicians. That is why people will do anything on the surface of the heart to get political power. Because without political power, your obas, your baales are useless. Which is why the Yoruba people need to understand what politics is within Nigeria. You can be 100 million people and you are going to be political illiterate. You are going to serve the minority that understands the importance of political power. Our Alaafins, the Ooni of Ife, the Olowo of Owus, the Orogun of Ilas, the Owo Obokun of Ijeshaland, the Awudale of Ijebu, the Oba of Lagos, they don't have any standing army. They are just symbolic people. The people with the real power is your political leaders. So your enemies cannot be your political leaders. Igbos cannot be the political leaders of the Yoruba people in Yoruba land. If that happens, that is colonialism. And we need to understand that what we saw in 2023, when the INEC commissioner, REC commissioner in Lagos said over 300,000 people migrated, took their polling votes to Lagos. It's one of the most underreported form of invasion ever seen in history. In the history of politics. Mao Zedong said politics is war without bloodshed, and war is politics with bloodshed. When they say, oh, politics is not war, it's all lies. In a multi-ethnic country like Nigeria, where different people have different intentions, don't look at what people say. Don't let people tell you, oh, we are not your problem. Oh, we need to, we are not the problem. It's all like you need to go into history. What does history says? What did your fathers do to our fathers? You need to study history to make before you make political decisions. People don't change. People don't change. And we need to also talk about, so I will start talking about different continents so that our people can actually fully grasp what is happening. And I will be as academic as possible, but I will be as blunt as possible too. There are 6 continents in the world, 6 habitable continents in the world, geopolitically. Because continents are also geopolitical creations. Europe and Asia are the same. They are contiguous in terms of land, but geopolitically, they are different. So that's why I said 6 geopolitical continents that we all use in the world. There is North America, there's South America, there's Australasia, which somebody calls Oceania, there's Africa, there's Europe, and there's Asia. There's a reason why Europe and Asia, there's a reason why they are the most developed axis continents on the surface of the earth. When it comes to technology, prosperity, human inventions, innovations, for the past 200 years. And the reason is because both civilizations, both axes are built on indigenous knowledge and power. So every other continent, the remaining 4 continents, are actually borrowing identities, culture, civilization, ideology from those 2 continents. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's start from North America. The entire North American continent was built on stolen lands. The entire land, the indigenous people have been wiped out through war. And this thing took place just 400 years ago. Close your eyes. We're also living through history. In the year 2400, what happens to us as Yoruba people? Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever thought about it? 2,400 years. Are you not supposed to be scared of the future as a Yoruba man or woman? Look at the kind of political leaders that represent you. Look at how callous. Look at how dissociated they are from your people. Look at Africa in a state of chaos. So the entire North America was erased by the British, the Spanish, the French, European powers armed with guns. They exterminated empires. Because don't think the Aztecs were not advanced. They were advanced people. The Aztec Empire that is now in current-day Mexico and part of Nicaragua was far, far, far more advanced than many European countries in the 15th, 16th century. But what happened to them? They were wiped out and their land taken over. Not just their land, their culture was appropriated. Because food is part of culture. That's why of you are eating chocolate today, avocado. And you see, people talking about aquaponics. These are inventions of people that were annihilated and erased from their lands. And a lot of Europeans, peasants, fleeing the persecution from mainland Europe, took free lands and occupied it. And heaven did not fall. And the world moved on. If anything happens to us today in Yoruba land, the world will move on and nothing is going to happen to us. And nothing is going to happen. They will even mock us. The people that are mocking you about Ilorin are the one telling you to give them chance to become governor in Lagos. Because they know that the Yoruba of 2025 are one of the most unfortunate Yorubas generation we can ever have. It is a decadence of the highest level. They only remember when it's time, they are Yoruba, when it's time to dance, hit, and have sex. That is the only time they remember that they are Yoruba. When it comes to define the culture, fight for the culture, spend money for the culture, defend it politically, economically, sacrifice for it, even be a martyr for it, they dissociate and they start speaking all sorts of jargons that doesn't exist in human history. Let's talk about South America. The Incas. You see today, you are going to see a lot of pyramids. Who built the pyramids in South America? The pyramids in Peru, in Bolivia. Where are the people that built it? They've been wiped out. Our PhDs, our MSCs is useless. If we do not understand that once we have some people in our midst behaving like settlers, we must put them in their place. What about Australia? The indigenous people have been wiped out. And what happens is the majority is turned to a minority. Then you'll be wiped out in your ancestral land. Once you turn to a minority in your land, and you can no longer enforce your culture, your interests in your land, you've been conquered. I have studied many histories, human history, and I can tell you, war are fought because of land, because land is the only constant factor of production. It's the most important factor of production. Land is the most important. Land is the most important resources on the surface of the earth. Gold, diamond, oil and gas comes from land. Water comes from land. Food comes from land. Life comes from land. Even when you die, you'll be buried in the land. Everything you need comes from the land. If you lose that land, you lose everything. It is land that gives you power. It is not something you do. It is not something you debate about. Your indigenous right is not something you legislate about. It is something you go to war to defend. Need be. I was giving examples of I talked about Australia. The indigenous people have been wiped out. So the Europeans in the Middle Ages, they said, oh, they were going about discovering new. They were not going about discovering places. They were wiping out people and stealing their lands and importing their people to settle upon it. That is how the current international world order was created. And when they took those lands, they needed people to work. If they had invented machines then, they wouldn't even come and be taking slaves. Because they never wanted us in those places. An example is Argentina, that wiped out the entire black population, even though they stole the dance. The dancing steps and everything in Argentina, even some of the spirituality was stolen by the settlers. But the black people wiped out in Argentina. So that we can understand where we are coming from and where we are going. So you need to understand a settler and a resident. You can become a citizen of anywhere. That is a birthright. That is just a civil right. But you can never be an indigenous person. When you are indigenous and you control power, you are powerful. You control your politics. You control your economics. We will not go. So I've been able to. So if you look at Europe, Europe is basically made up of indigenous people. When you talk about the Napoleon War, the Napoleon Wars, you talk about the Ottoman Wars trying to expand into Europe after they took over the Byzantine Empire in the 15th century, in the 1400s to specific. Or you talk about The First World War, the Second World War. It's all about a particular powerful European country trying to subjugate other European countries, other European ethnic nations. A good example was France, trying to subjugate the entire Europe, trying to conquer the entire Europe and enforce the French people as a superior race. What happened? The Europeans fought it to the last. That everybody wanted to maintain their sovereignty. What about in the First World War? Or let's even talk about the Second World War. Germany believes, Hitler believed Germans were the superior race. He was talking about Lebensraum. Trying to destroy the indigenous people of the indigenous ethnic nations, which were his fellow Europeans. Came a world war. That's what Hitler was trying to do to the Slavs in Poland, in Russia, in Ukraine. That's what he was trying to do. He killed 6 million Russian soldiers in 4 months. Go to United Kingdom, but many of you don't know the history of the United Kingdom. United Kingdom is made up of 4 ethnic nations that we call tribes. They call it Scotland, Scot and land, the land of the Scottish people, land of the Scots. They call it England. It is the land of the English, of the Anglo-Saxons. They call it Ireland. It is the land of the Irish people. That is how they created those places. They call it Dutch land, the land of the German Dutch people, Dutch-speaking people. Why is it that when we now talk about Yoruba land, some ethnicities start having mental trauma? And some of you are now even afraid of saying Yoruba culture. You start saying Lagos culture. In the position of power. These are the things we should be discussing, not for your journey. And the worldview of the nomadic people and the sedentary people are totally different. Sedentary people, they are mostly urbanized. They are farmers. They stay in one place. They believe in building their land, building their place. Nomadic people, they go everywhere, appropriating and cloning themselves into established communities, established cities. There's nothing wrong in being nomadic. Not all nomadic groups are terrorists. Not all nomadic groups are problematic. But I can tell you, most wars in the world were caused by nomadic people. The Mongols, which were united and forged into an empire by Genghis Khan, whose real name was Temujin. were nomadic people. The Turks that invaded and stole Byzantine Empire from the Romans were nomadic people. The Tutsis were nomadic people. The Fulanis were nomadic people. Even the Germanic people were nomadic people. And it's not when we say nomadic, don't think you need to be rearing cattle and goats before you are nomadic. If you have to leave your homeland and go from place to place before you can survive, and it has become a culture, you've become nomadic. The Igbos have become nomadic in Nigeria. They are nomadic all over the world. They've imbibed the nomadic behavior. The Fulanis are nomadic. They took the Hausa civilization, Hausa city state, and they created the Sokoto Caliphate. They are nomadic. So there's nothing wrong, but that has always been there. So there are two types of people. I've told you, two types of people in the world. The Tuaregs are nomadic people too. The Arabs were also nomadic people. And nomadic people can also become sedentary people. So we need to understand the dynamics. There is no place on earth. That is why the issue of United Nations rights on Indigenous Charter is sacrosanct. There are different levels, there are different types of genocide. There's linguicide when a language dies. There's ethnocide when an ethnicity dies. There's cultural genocide. You can kill a people in different ways by suppressing their culture, by suppressing their identity, suppressing their language, appropriating their identity. It is because the Yoruba society is not an educated society. When it comes to geopolitics, that is why we need to explain for our people to understand this fundamental fact. That you cannot be nice when it comes to your identity. You cannot. When it comes to your land, you cannot. Now, let's not talk about this Nigeria. I've been able to cite different examples across the world so that we understand where we are coming from and where we are going. I've explained North America, South America, Asia. Now, let's talk about Africa before I come back to Nigeria. The Arabs are not indigenous to Africa. The entire North Africa was taken away from the indigenous people by the Arabs. The Romans first took it because North Africa was used to be part of the Roman Empire. North Africa used to be part of the Roman Empire. That is why the name Africa, Africanus, was the name of a Roman general. Was the name of a Roman Empire general, Africanus. So it was the Arabization of North Africa that made North Africa to become part of the Arab world. There is nothing Arab about North Africa. It was stolen by the Arabs from the Romans. So you also look at a lot of places. You go to Southern Africa. Thank God we were able to defeat apartheid. What you had in South Africa was secular colonialism. There's not yet Uhuru. You go to places like Namibia, 70% of the land is controlled by the indigenous people. It's controlled by the whites. It's all about the land. Everywhere it's all about the land. Land, identity, culture. It makes you a superpower. And some ethnicities have understood these fundamentals. They don't have it and they need to get it from somebody else. And there are examples. We see what is happening in Palestine, but I'm not here to talk about the Palestinian issues. You will only protest, you will only fight. If you do not have the means to defend yourself, the world is not going to come to your aid. I saw the governor of Delta State talking about the issue of the Shekiri people, and he was saying he doesn't want to lose votes, so he's not going to make any comment. If you want to fight after 2031. That is it. Because political power is more important to him than your petty sentiment that you own your land. If you own the land, you defend your land. If you cannot defend that land, the land does not belong to you. History will be kind to people like us, will be kind to CYF. In the next 300 years, they will watch me. They will watch many of you defending the Yoruba race, and they will pray for us, and our name will be immortalized. Our name will be immortalized. Because we fought for the right of our people to protect and defend their land. Those that are fighting us today, their name will not even be remembered in history. Those that were against our law, where are they? Those who conspired against our law, where are they? So let's talk about Nigeria. Nigeria was a British creation. It was created through force of arms. There is nothing organic about the creation of Nigeria. This is geopolitics. It was created by Britain for their own economic agenda. Nigeria is held together through the iron fists and through the social engineering of its people, and to make them have a loyalty to this Nigerian creation. That is Nigeria. And that was why our leader, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was very, very sacrosanct. You want my people to be part of this Nigeria as what? Do you want us to be Nigeria as slaves? Do you want to take us to Nigeria and destroy our 1,000 year civilization? Those are the questions Chief Obafemi Awolowo was asking. Ahmedu Bello was also asking. You want us to go into Nigeria and become apostates? You want us to become Nigerians and give up our Islamic heritage, our Islamic civilization? He was asking those questions. Nigeria was negotiated. There were negotiations. What our forefathers negotiated, that you are not going to give up, you are not going to be in Nigeria and give up Lagos for Igbos to be becoming governors in Lagos, or Igbos to be becoming governors in Oyo State. That is not the Nigeria that Awolowo negotiated for you, Yoruba, to be part of it. He didn't negotiate you to be in Nigeria to become slaves. So people like Idris will be saying nonsense and be saying Lagos culture instead of Yoruba culture. He didn't say all those things. And the Voxy Populi, Voxy Dehi, the voice of the people is the voice of God. This is a time to organize as Yoruba people. The power is not with our elite, it's with the Yoruba people. We must make them lose their political power. We must organize, make them irrelevant. If they do not protect Yoruba land, the first duty of a Yoruba politician, all politics is local, is to protect the rights and the rights of the Yoruba people within Yoruba land. This is not about APC or PDP. We are talking about our life and our existence. I'm going to talk about what happened in USSR between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Azerbaijan and Armenia used to be republics within the USSR. So because of their divide and rule, divide and conquer of Soviet leaders, who are mostly Russians, ethnic Russians, they wanted to keep USSR, that empire, alive. So they were busy taking lands that were not belonging to one group, they will give to another group. They will take some groups, they will go and settle them in another group to create confusion. While they were doing this, those who supported this madness believed that the USSR will continue to live forever, to continue to exist forever. What happened? That's what brings me to the issue of Nagorno-Karabakh. For the past 5 years, it has been a bloody war. There has been bloody wars going on in that area of Central Europe, Central Asia. Some people live in Central Asia. I'll go with Central Asia. Nagorno-Karabakh, after USSR broke down, broke into pieces, the Azeris, they believe that for the past 300, 400 years, Nagorno-Karabakh is one of their ancient civilization hotspots. It belongs to them. The Armenians believe that belongs to them, and and they were fighting. Now, 80% of the people living in Nagorno-Karabakh were Armenians, but Azerbaijan still believe it is them. They own it. So after USSR fell, there was a war between Azerbaijan and Armenians. Armenians got the support because they are both Christians, Orthodox Christians, from the Russians, and they defeated the Azeris, who are Turkic people, Turkish in heritage. The Azerbaijan people, they went back, they cried. More than 300,000 Azerbaijan people were expelled from the. I'm not supporting any people. I'm just telling you what happens. Don't think because we are in Nigeria, you are now going to allow displacement, democratic displacement, conquest of your people. You are preparing your generation for brutal war in the future. Learn from the Palestinians that sold their land for peanuts. Now their children are being bombed into pieces in Gaza, and nobody gives a damn. That is what God is going to be our future if we do not rise up. Pan-Africanism, where you say, oh, open border, we are all the same, the tribalization is all lies. There is nothing like Pan-Asianism. There is nothing like Pan-Europeanism. There is nothing like it's all lies. We saw what slave returnees did to the indigenous people in Syria alone. We saw slave returnees who were also blacks did to the indigenous people in Liberia. Those are two examples of what will happen. What black on black can do to ourselves. Genetically, there are more genetic differences between black people than any other place, a continent on earth. The level of genetic diversity in Africa is the highest amongst all the continents of the world. So what exactly are we talking about? Pan-Blackism can work for African Americans that have evolved and created another identity for themselves in America. It does not work for us. We are indigenous to our land. We have civilizations, we have empires, we have heritage to protect and to hand over to our children. And Nigeria is not a license to the extermination of a people. So we need to understand these fundamentals. So we also need to understand that as indigenous people, we must be able to protect you must be able to protect your politics. Politics is who gets what. Politics is not about competence. As what some people make you, local politics is not about competence. It is about representation. If you are not represented, you are nobody. You are conquered. Are you represented? Why did you think the First Republic failed in Nigeria? The First Republic failed because of the violent agitations of the minorities who wanted political representation. The minorities were not telling you about competence. The Yorubas that wanted the Midwest and wanted to get out of the Western region did not doubt the competence of Awolowo. What they were fighting for was they want to a political representation where their voice will matter and they will not be an inconsequential minority within the Nigerian Federation. That's exactly what we are talking about. Representation is more important than nonsense competence. Yoruba people want to represent Yoruba people in Yoruba land. Competence can go to hell with that. Or you call somewhere you call it Germany, and it is Arabs that are representing them and they are becoming their president. That's absolute nonsense. Or you look at a country like US, you look at a country like Switzerland. In Switzerland, there is most of these anarchists that are always going about preaching this detribalized pan-blackism, open border thing that has not been practicable anywhere in the world. They have never argued about the Switzerland case. None of them have never argued about it. They have never argued about the Belgium case. They've never argued about the United Kingdom example. Even within Russia, what Russia learned was to allow within the Russian, it is called a Russian Federation. You have Mongolians there. You have Turkic people there. You have Persian people there. You have Siberians. You have Inuits. You have Chechens, Caucasians, Chechens, Muslims, even they practice Sharia law in Russia. There are places where those republics are like regions or states where 90% of the people are Muslims. And within Russia, as people say, oh, you demonize Russia, Russia is this, Russia is that. In those places, they practice Sharia law. You go to those places, you don't say because you are ethnic Russian, you are the majority. 70%, we are 70% of the country. You now go to Chechen, you go to the Chechnya republics, you go to Dagestan, and you are eating pork. They will deal with you, and the Russian government will also support it. That is how civilized people behave. It is an uncivilized behavior for you to carry your big head from Abia State and be talking down and be trying to corrode the culture, the heritage of the people of Osun State. That is no longer a federation. That is an invasion. You are a settler. That is a problem the Middle Belt is having with the core north. And that is the issue that caused the Sango Kataf crisis. That was the issue that caused the Jos crisis. Those people that actually act as patriots in Nigeria are not patriots. They want to sweep everything under the carpet, dress well, look good, when they actually do not understand the problem. Or they are not ready to solve the problem. Look, the Yoruba people need to be very strong. We need to be very strong. We need to be very, very powerful. The Yoruba people need to be very, very strong. We need to be very, very powerful. Because if two people are fighting, they will always support the strong over the weak. When the British came, the British oftentimes, they maintained the status quo. When they got to Hausa land, they saw the Fulanis ruling the Hausa people. They left it there. It's none of their business. When the British, when they got to India, they saw the Muslims ruling over the Hindus in the Mughal Empire. They left it there. In fact, the Muslims collaborated with the English, with the British to subjugate the Hindus. That is one of the things that led to the balkanization of British India into 3 countries. One, Hindu India, then the 2 Muslim blocks broke down into East Pakistan and West Pakistan, now called Pakistan and Bangladesh. So we have to understand who is a settler. When they say, oh, well, we are residents, a resident will not be insulting your culture. A resident will not be appropriating your culture. You don't look, and I've also noticed a pattern in history. When settlers, when they take a land from people, they protect it more than the indigenous people. Let me repeat that. When settlers, when they take over a particular land from the indigenous people, they protect that land, they die for that land, they value that land even more than the indigenous people. But let us protect Yoruba land. If these people hijack our land from us, they will make laws that will even worse than apartheid, and they will destroy each and every one of us from our ancestral homeland. It has happened in history. The Europeans that stole land from the Native Americans are building wall in America. Written in history, how you stole their land. First diplomacy, first document. There is the history called the Trail of Many Tears. The history of the Trail of Many Tears is still there. You took the land from the indigenous people. You took it. But I want to build it. I want to make it laws. I want to build the border, the Mexico-American border. If the indigenous people then, the Comanche empires, if they had made laws to protect their own space, we will not even have any European colony in the American continent today. But I want to understand. Because many of us don't even understand why we exist as a people. So we are talking about political representation, political power, being on the table, and sort of competence. There's nothing like competence in geopolitics and power. You either be on the table or you are under the table. There is nothing like oversuits. We don't want to become the kind of people. You are going to go extinct. You do not even you are not qualified to be a Yoruba man. The world, go and look at history. Many documentaries. Oh, the greatest conquerors in the world. You see the way they write about Genghis Khan every week. Genghis Khan was not Father Christmas. Genghis Khan was not a messiah. Genghis Khan was not a nice man. Genghis Khan killed more people than Adolf Hitler. He wiped out millions of people. Yet the world remembers him because the world remembers the strong. It's the bitter truth. And somebody's messiah cannot be another person's monster. The Yoruba people detest Abacha because of the destruction he brought to Yoruba land. But go to the Ijos, they still celebrate Abacha because he gave them an homogeneous Ijos state. In Nigeria, the Igbos, they celebrate Abacha because Abacha gave them more states and almost made them equal with Yoruba land. Abacha created people like Peter Obi, made a lot of their people elite billionaires. While he was busy slaughtering the people of Ogoni, slaughtering the people of Yoruba land and our leaders. That is the way it works. So, le titori pe Abacha kò dá fúnra Yorùbá, kò wá máa expect pé àwọn Igbo náà, Ijaw people too, they will also sympathize with you. They don't give a damn. Orí tí wọ́n pé, orí tí ilẹ̀ yín ò pé, lẹ́yìn rò pé the world is like a Father Christmas. The world is not a Father Christmas. The world is not a Father Christmas. The world is only, you have to be strong for your own people. Torí ẹ̀ lẹ́fìrí pé Yorùbá people no man sabotage ara wọn. Because we don't understand geopolitics. Àwọn tó ń ṣe kò yé wọn ni. Kò yé wọn ni. Torí ẹ̀ ní ọ̀rọ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ àti Ọọ̀ni of Ifẹ̀ tó lọ síta yẹn, and I saw a lot of people tí mo rò pé lọ́pọlọ, àṣewọ́n ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn, no brain. I saw them fighting dirty on social media. So those are people gbalagbaro Olódùmarè. They will never have the opportunity to represent Yoruba people. I'm saying it on here because it's madness. You can see the Fulani people. Our Fulani people want just the emir of Kano throne. The brutal war ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ńbẹ̀. Ọba méjì ló wà ní Kano báyìí for the past 4-5 years. Ọba méjì ló wà ní Kano. Agbára president go ká. How many Fulani bloggers lẹ́rìí kó ló máa ṣe blog kan máa ṣe wọ́n ti ti dé o. Ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa. Oh, Yoruba from because a lot of our people are political illiterates. Illiterate, illiterate. Sharing illiteracy is beyond the ability to read and write. If you come from a powerful civilization like the Yoruba people, and you do not have the capacity to have deductive and logical reasoning, to understand basics. I don't need to even come here and be shouting geopolitics before you understand. Politicians have the power to solve all these problems. Politicians are the most powerful. In fact, politicians are the king makers. They can make kings, they can create kings, they can remove kings. The power of life and death are in the hands of Yoruba politicians. So why they want parani on some things that are irrelevant when we are faced with a geopolitical struggle of life and death within Nigeria? So for Yoruba people to maintain our power, most of you into ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Nagano-Karabakh, gbogbo ilẹ̀ tí àwọn Azerbaijan sọnù ní 1993, 1994, they went back and took those lands back 3 years ago, and they expelled the entire Armenians. Ethnic cleansing was done within 1 month. The war, in fact, the war did not move an inch. Ariwo Palestine tán sọ yẹn torí pé ní political undertone ni. Táwọn Palestinians náà bá láwọn tó lè bá wọn pariwo. People will move on. Armenians ò lẹ́n tó máa assist wọn. Wọ́n wipe out to over 500,000 people from their ancestral homeland. Wọ́n dẹ̀ gbà, it's online. They were burning down their churches, desecrating their graves, and took over their land because they said that land used to be for them 300, 200 years ago. Wọ́n dẹ̀ gbà lẹ́yìn padà. Have you seen how big Russia is? Russia in landmass is bigger than the entire Europe, Western Europe. Russia in landmass, tóbi ju the entire Western Europe lọ. But do you know what Russia did? Russia sì ti lọ ń jà láti tún gba ilẹ̀ onílẹ̀ nínú Ukraine. Ṣé àgbà àwọn ẹ̀yin kan kò ní ìdílé yẹn ti tóbi jù náà, ní ìdí kan tó ní ìkan tó lọ gbalẹ̀ sí. Great powers don't think that way. People that understand power. Torí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ yín, àwọn yìí bá sọ fún go to Ìlọrin and go and take Ìlọrin back, go and take Kwara back. Kí ẹ fèkó sílẹ̀ fún wọn, kí ẹ lọ mọ ọmú lọ. In terms of yín nìyẹn now. And I'm going to tell you, because we're about wrapping up, that I'm going to tell you why settlers behave the way they behave. Now, it is all about economic advantage. Sharing political power, land power, it's all everything now comes back to economy. Now, you look at Southeast, there's no seaports. The economic power there is dead. Their best engineers are not in Igbo land. Their best doctors are not in Igbo land. Their middle class are not living in Igbo land. Their best doctors, their best neurosurgeons are not in Igbo land. Their billionaires are not in Igbo land. They are not there. Their philosophers are not in Igbo land. And that has always been what it is from the First Republic. Chinua Achebe, that bigot. Go and look at where he was. But in Make, he was outside, yet they are telling you their place is Rossi. So you have that kind of a situation. So they are going to look for every means to project power. So all their billionaires, King Simon Galu that writes all sorts of nonsense, is currently living in Rwanda. He can't live in Anambra, he can't live there, he can't live there, he can't live in Abia, he can't. And it is not the issue of civil war. It has always been since this amalgamation of Nigeria since 1914. They are one of the biggest beneficiaries of the Nigerian amalgamation. Because it gave them access to places they would never have access into. Even the places, ordinary free movement, ECOWAS, look at what they are doing in Ghana. Constantly deriding and desecrating the indigenous, the boundaries of those places. And they are always quick to shout, oh, hey, oh, they hate us. Oh, we want Biafra. Biafra is just a bargaining chip for them to have political power and economic power in your land. Biafra is a fraud. Tell them to go and create an homogeneous Biafra. They will start crying. Biafra is an empire. They want to build an empire their forefathers never built for 2,000 years. They want to build it in 2025. So the question is, will you allow, you as a Yoruba man, will you allow them to build that empire on your head? This kind of conversation, it's very difficult to have because a lot of people don't understand what is happening. And you need to be very careful. This is not a call for hate. It's for you to understand and wake up. Because the reality is there is no ethnicity in Nigeria to practice self-preservation. No. No ethnicity to practice self-preservation. Except the Yoruba people. Except the Yoruba people. There's not going to be a way where we are not going to have one or two miscreants in our midst. People like, I don't want to mention names. They've always been in our midst. That will write all sort of nonsense to justify all sort of nonsense. It's normal. But you need to keep them in the minority and make them totally irrelevant. That's what we're supposed to do. And that's what we ought to do. And that is what we shall do. So I think I've been able to break it down. So citizenship, you go to a place, we are all citizens on a place, you learn the indigenous culture, you learn something, you respect the people, you respect the history. That's a citizen, a sane citizen. You now go to a place, you now want to install an emir. You want to create emirates over the indigenous people. You start killing people. You start wiping out people. And they must not talk. You start claiming victim. That is the definition of narcissism. That's why Africa is the way it is. I just read South Sudan is slipping into another civil war. They fought for 40 years to be free from Arab imperialism and colonialism. What happened? The Dinkas wanted to become the new overlord in South Sudan. They're just looting the country, looting the oil wealth, playing divide and conquer. No plan for the future. They're even practicing the unitary system of government in South Sudan. Just imagine the madness. They fought for 40 years. That is why warlords and people and emotional ranters should never be the leader of any ideological struggle. If you try it, everybody will regret it. It has happened before in Eritrea. We are the worst of them because self-determination. You now went to go and do self-determination, and the worst of you represented you. You are going to pay for it. This thing requires intellectualism. You need to understand. And I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation so far, so good. And I hope we are going to surely continue next week, where we are going to further look at cases within Nigeria to talk about the issue of settlers, the issue of indigenous rights, settlers, and citizens. And I'm going to be using different examples all over the world. And next week, probably, I'll be talking about the Anglo-Saxons I'll be talking about the Britons. I'll be talking about the Germanization agenda or Germanification agenda of Poland, and the Russification agenda of Poland, and the Russification agenda of one of the ancient capital of the German Empire, were called Königsberg. Thank you so much. May Olodumare continue to be with us.
Thank you so much, Are, for that wonderful lecture. We urge our leaders, our elders, Yoruba youth, and Yoruba of all age groups to come together, unite, and work towards the preservation of Yoruba land, its heritage, and its civilization. You can now call us on WhatsApp on 234 901 057 5121. I will now hand over to Madam Ajoke Ade. Madam Ajoke Ade, please take the stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my sister. Are, like always, thank you so much. Eshegon, that was a powerful one. Hopefully our people will, take some things out of the lecture. Like Are said, let's protect our land. It's very, very important. God is not going to create any other land. So protect it. You have to protect our people, our heritage, everything Yoruba, we have to protect it. So please, Yoruba, it's very, very important. And please, Yoruba, and let's think about our unborn generation. Kò ní dá kí àwọn ọmọ tí àti ìbí wọn á dé kó máa wá ṣépè fún wa. Àwọn bàbá ńlá títí wa wọ́n fi ilẹ̀ yẹn sílẹ̀ fún wa. So it's very, very important if we protect it with all what we have. We should protect it. Thank you so much. Please, if you want to contribute, you can please raise up your hand so that the host can bring you up and give your submission or questions. Host, are you there? So please bring our people up so that they can contribute.
We can take questions internally, and please, let's quickly proceed, please. Thank you.
And you can also send your question to the platform, then it can be read out. Also, you can call the number my co-host has already given. Madam Clara, can you please call the number again so that our people can have it? We have it on the platform. I'll also add it again. You can call in to ask your question and make a submission if you wish.
To be 234 901 057 5121.
Thank you so much.
No problem. My contribution to this is regarding everything you said, which is relative to what I said at the start of this session. I made a statement about the distinctions of immigrations, whereby they talk about first-generation immigrant, second-generation immigrant, and etc. And I made a statement that regardless of you being a citizen of that nation, even if your ancestor, who was the first immigrant in that nation, has been there for 20 years, and there's been many descendants of that particular first generation, you are still considered an immigrant. And there are so many examples of such citizens in Europe we'll see an example of a footballer, Kylian Mbappe, for instance, and he'll be considered a third generation, I believe, because his mom would be a second generation, because his mom, would it be second? No, third, because his mom would be a third generation immigrant. So in this instant, and when we realize this as Yorubas that are we're not living in Nigeria, it reminds us at all times that although this is home for us, but we are not indigenous to this land. And at any given time, through any generation, we could be asked to return back home. And when you think about this, you think about the implication of how Yoruba land is right now and what is staring at and what needs to be done. And I think this needs to be emphasized a lot more to Yoruba people, especially Yoruba people that have become so comfortable living in Western world. Your passport could be taken from you at any given time because it's a privilege. It's not a birthright because their ancestors fought for that right. They fought for that land. They protected that land. They built that land. It doesn't matter if you pay taxes. It doesn't matter if you contribute anything. It doesn't matter if you innovate anything with that land. It belongs to that land because anytime your innovation is talked about, it's going to be talked about in regards to the land that nurtured you and give you that enabling environment. For instance, for myself, if I should do anything great right now, the credit will go to Ireland because Ireland nurtured me and protected me, whereas Jubaland was in disarray. And as a child of June 12th, I speak from a place whereby I know the importance of self-preservation because I have learned and I have experienced what Yoruba persecution feels like. And it's a topic that I feel like a lot of people don't understand because they don't know what Yoruba land was like in the 90s. Yoruba land was a place where there was riot at any given time. It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. At any given time, you could be in a place where there will be riots. You could be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I've experienced that since I was a kid. So I can give countless of experiences I've had before I now found a haven that nurtured me and protected me and allowed me to become who I am today. But I see that there are a lot of Yoruba people who have taken this for granted. And I have to admit, I also have taken being a Yoruba for granted, the identity of being a Yoruba. You don't understand the importance and how our ancestors, they forged this culture, they forged the identity, they created this civilization. It was through sweat, tears, and blood. And when I think about it now, and how much I've taken for granted the fact that I have to fight for my right to claim that I'm Yoruba, I have to fight to be able to speak Yoruba, whereas some people said I'm speaking my language too much and I'm not allowed to speak my language, which makes no sense. And I start to understand the work that the ancestors, our ancestors, they put into this. So I believe that at this stage, in point in time, there should be more conversation about us that are living in Nigeria, whom might not understand the concept that, oh, when you are in another person's land, they could tell you go back to your country. And we have those who are also in another land who are doing so well and they're very successful and they've become quite comfortable that they don't understand how important it is to fight to protect home. And that's why the Jews, they invest so much in protecting their land, no matter where they are in the world. And I think it's time for us, Yoruba, to start working towards this. It's very, very vital and very, very important because the only land that we have a right to, that is our birthright, is Yoruba land. And it has to be passed on to next generation, from generation to generation, because it was worked for and it was built by our ancestors for us to be able to enjoy, to protect, and to advance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Clara Eshegon. That was a powerful submission. Thank you so much. Just to stress your points, I mean, I think most of us in Europe or America, or I wouldn't know how it is in America, but there is a word that is very common here, almost all around European countries. It's it's a common word for the people. Most times, if there is a little dispute, even sometimes without dispute, it's common for them to tell us, go back to where you come from. Go back to where you come from. Even when there is no dispute. At the supermarket, it happened. It happened on the train. It happened on the bus. They even tell our children, and these are children that were born here. So they can actually, at any, there might come a time, I mean, with a generation that might actually tell the foreigners to go back to where they come from. And at the end of the day, it's their rights because this is their father's land. They built it. Even if we pay tax, build the houses here, have whatever we have here, they can always tell us at some point in time to go back to where we're coming from. And there's nothing we can do about it. So that is why we should know how important land is, and we should protect the one we have. Thank you. Host, over to you. Do we have anybody that want to contribute, or we have any question? Anybody, Hope?
We do have somebody.
Okay. Thank you so much. That would be Awodi Win. Correct? Awodi Win, are you there? Please take the mic. Ekaleo. Thank you.
Mi ò gbọ́ wọn o. Mr. Jolomi, ṣé ẹ lè unmute? Ṣé ẹ lè unmute?
Because it's this kind of person that I used to.
Mr. Odinwe, Mr. Odinwe,
I don't know.
start your,
I think
take your question
think-
again.
Okay, ẹ ṣé.
I said mine is just I want to call attention of everybody. I don't know. There's a friend of mine that called my attention to it in Lagos. This President Tinubu Nel Fund policy. He said Yorubas are not benefiting from it. If we check the statistic very well. That's number one. And number two is another person to call my attention to that. Lagos State government is building First Act 2. And he said the person they awarded the contract to is an man in Lagos. So I don't know if anybody has much details about it. So those are the two things I just want to call.
Thank you very, very much. We work on what you've said, and I'll be happy if you can send a proper report to the TYF handle, Think Yoruba First handle, or TYF Park handle, or you can also send it to the School of Geopolitics handle that is currently hosting. So thank you so much for that information. And there's a lot of information we'll not be able to discuss publicly, but I can tell you we'll surely work on it. So we'll be expecting your report, sir.
Eshegon, thank you. Maybe I can actually add a point to that. I think where the issue lies is in our people. We are not applying for this because I actually have example in my family.
Okay, let me. I'm sorry. I know I was trying to
For the
talk
nail
about.
fund.
Okay. I was talking about the first tax issue.
For the nail fund. Actually,
the issue of the
that's
nail
why
fund. The issue of the nail fund is that we need to understand some things. The Yoruba people are traumatized people in Nigeria. Even if you put money outside and say government in a lot of our people will not go and get it.
Yeah.
Because there was a gang up within Nigeria to keep Yoruba people perpetually in opposition. So everything the Yoruba people achieved in Nigeria was by our own hands. Nigeria. So I believe by next year, more Yoruba youths are surely going to apply for it. Because they will now know we are Otomanikini, and they will start getting it. The Northerners are the people that apply for it most because the Northerners understand the importance and power of federal government. Our government in one day. And having access to government funds and credits or facilities is very, very important. There is no joy in saying, I mean, need them tell me. It doesn't make any sense. Because you come to Germany, you come to go to America, you go to Europe, United Kingdom. Many people use government funds to study, even elites. There's no big deal about it. So that is why we are going to do a lot of campaigns in our institutions. Campus chapter, campus group, TYF, which is the Always Campus Group, to properly educate our youth, even applying for scholarships. How many of us that local will abroad? Some of our northern colleagues, Hausa colleagues, Fulani colleagues, scholarship not for back away. I believe we country kan la jọ wà ṣá, ẹ̀yin gba PTDF, ẹ̀yin gba gbogbo ẹ̀. Báwo làwọn ò ṣe gbà? Because Nigeria has always been unfair to us when it comes to this kind of a thing. So mentality yẹn ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ òbí pass sáwọn ọmọ wọn. So most wa ò kakún. Many of us complain panel fund. How many of us láti dedicate ti ọjọ́ kan lórí Twitter and wa láti educate àwọn èèyàn wa nípa nail fund? How many àwọn parent àwọn ọmọ wa àwọn àbúrò wa láti ní pé lọ apply for nail fund? We did not do all these things. All of us are to be blamed for this, and we are going to get better. Because by the time táwọn youth wa bá já sí tán, it's going to be a tsunami of applications. And that's why many of us nílò láti gba owó ká gba one kobo lọ́wọ́ President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because we understand the symbolism. Pé 1963 ọmọ Yorùbá tó yẹ kó débẹ̀ wọ́n lọ tì mọ́ wọ́n gbé wọ́n lọ tì mọ́lé. Awólọ́wọ̀ ọmọ ẹ̀ àkọ́bí ẹ̀ olú ọmọ ẹ̀ wọ́n tún pa. Ó tún di 1993, 30 years later, MK Abiola wọ́n pa ìyàwó ẹ̀, wọ́n tún sọ lé ọlá, wọ́n tún sọ dáwóró. Àwọn tó ṣiṣẹ́ burúkú yẹn gan wọ́n tún claim pa àwọn gangan ní stakeholder nù Nàìjíríà. Ó tún wá di another 30 years in 2023. Ọmọ Yorùbá mi tún fẹ́ di president. Àwọn kan tún kóra wọn jọ, wọ́n tún ṣe wèrè, wọ́n tún contemplate coup d'etat. No. Tí ò bá ti sí Yorùbá kò sí Nàìjíríà. And kò dẹ̀ sí nǹkan tó ṣe wá. A ní láti reverse engineer ara wa ní socially psyche. Intan ṣe nìyẹn. And that's what many of us are doing here, online and offline. So that way, you cannot destroy people that are aware. But due to our work and the work of the elders before us, things have changed. The music have changed. They are proud to be Yorubas. So intentional nítorí àwọn fún máa ń sọ èdè kan, mo máa ń pe èdè yẹn ní social engineering. The social engineering is extremely important. You either social engineer a people negatively or you socially engineer a people positively. Ṣùgbọ́n a gbọ́dọ̀ socially engineer ara wa positively so that àwọn youth wa wọ́n á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní benefit. So we don't, it just shows that we've not done our job well. Churches mélòó láti lọ. Mosque mélòó, mọ́sálásí mélòó láti lọ. Schools mélòó láti lọ. Ó yẹ kí tiwa àwa gan mú dẹ, and thank you for telling us this. Àwa gan máa ní campaign. The TYF educational department. Our department here, wọ́n máa ṣe campaign. The importance of NEL fund, why Yoruba youth must apply for NEL fund, campus by campuses. Because by that, education free in Yoruba from primary school to secondary school. Now, education is free for tertiary institutions. So, kò sẹ́ni tó ní excuse mọ́ sí láti sọ pé o ní degree mọ́. Because we need to, when we have that educated workforce, fortunately, see what the history para sí curriculum, educational curriculum one thing. Adúpẹ́ fọ́lọ́run, alhamdulillah. Ṣùgbọ́n that one máa ṣe ń sìn, ó ní àwa ṣiṣẹ́ kárakára on ensuring that not everybody, bá ṣe polytechnic ní NC ni, and with the right skills, you have that. because we are going to need it. I cannot say a lot of things on here. We need that workforce because of the rate of jackpot tó ti wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. A lot of brain drain ti ṣẹlẹ̀ gidi. So we need to be able to replace that vacuum nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. So kò jẹ́ bó ṣe jẹ́ o. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. That was a wonderful submission.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's a very good reminder. So we'll definitely work on it. And everybody should know, please. Bobowa, Tabani Omo, ni university, ejekalo apply. Àwọn ẹbí wa náà, Tonomo, ni institutions, ejeka maran wọn létí kan lọ apply. Because I have example in my own family, my brother and my sisters, they have 3 children, ni institution, ni universities. I am the one that is pushing them. I keep telling them, I keep reminding them. I was like, what is really wrong? Kilo Sheino, it is there. Go and apply. Go and apply. Why on earth that anything sinile, lo mama go and do this, go and do this. We are going to do it. We are going to do it. The porter is this, the porter is that. Go and do it. So please, Johnny Yoba, o she fun gbogbo wa náà ni. We really need to take the advantage. It's meant for us. We should use it. The North are doing that. We should also use it. Thank you. Okay, I couldn't see anybody help. I could see your hand up.
Yes. From what my friend pointed out, it seems what he was saying was the condition, the criteria is what is pushing Yorubas back. Most of them are civil servants. I don't know the criteria because this person I'm talking about is a teacher. So Montreal láti persuade pé kí ló máa ń ṣẹ́gun ọ̀sẹ̀ tó tẹ̀ kí tó tẹ̀ kí n fẹ́ gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ Tinubu sétí. So he was not telling me his own anger over all Tinubu's policy. So he was the one that was like, he was Southwest nísìn wọ́n kàn ń ṣe propaganda. Mo sọ pé policy yẹn ń ṣe propaganda that people are benefiting. He said no, people are not benefiting from Southwest. That the criteria, the condition is something most Southwest from our Yorubas cannot meet up. So, and the church, the mosque,
Ejakin come.
Exactly. That's not, it's a wrong information.
Any suru. Mr. Jolomi.
Mr. Odinwi.
Yeah. Hold on. Number 1, we want to end this program in the next 30 minutes, and we want as many people as possible to talk. I will give you this answer once and for all. The issue is that our people have lost faith in government. Yoruba people do not trust the government. NEL fund is one of the easiest things to apply for, in as much you are a student. Well, as I've said, I know many people that have applied for it and are getting it. It is not a propaganda, it is true. And we are going, as an institution in TYF, we are also going to be going all out across all campuses via our campus chapters to educate our youth in the importance of NEL fund. Go see any issue, criteria is so straightforward. You just need to apply through your school. You supply the necessary documents that are necessary. And since now universities in Batishe, your school authority, you have no problem. So, Madam Dabirio Soro, so that other people can also speak and we can have
I forgot. Last month, Lagos State did a job interview. I just want to call the attention of TYF. friend wọn àwọn àtọ̀run ìwà tàbí kí ní kan wọ ọ̀rẹ́ mi, a lot of persons bẹ́ẹ̀ pé Lagos yìí ní ààbọ̀ the whole 36 states indigenous ni. So outcome ẹgbẹ́ máa jẹ́ lò all over test ní open because I publicize it. So that's just all I want to say again.
Thank you so much. We will talk to Lagos State chapter of TYF to look into it, and hopefully we are going to get a good response. Thank you so much, sir. Eshe, it is well noted. It's well noted. Eshe.
Eshe. Momidabiri, you have the mic, ma.
Because mo láti lọ sí YouTube lọ máa gbọ́ nísinsìnyí ààrẹ ni o. X kò tiẹ̀ mí tí ẹ gbọ́, ó kàn hàn ni. But thank God pé I was able to use my old age sense, get to YouTube and get most of the lectures that are ready to us. Ẹ ṣe ẹkú iṣẹ́ náà. Then mo ní Linktree tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ní Nelfund and kò sí bójúbójú kan bẹ̀. Once you apply, they ask for your JAMB admission something. You apply online. You don't have to know anybody. Once your school gives, and they will go and confirm themselves and you get it. But ọmọ mi le o, ọmọ mi ti gbà, ó dákẹ́ kò sọ fáwọn òbí ẹ̀. Ìyẹn wà bẹ́ẹ̀. Táwọn òbí wọn ti sanwó, wọn ò dẹ̀ ní lọ bèrè ní lẹ́fọ̀n kò jẹ́ iṣẹ́ fọ́mọ mi. Láti kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa náà kọ́ máa ṣòótọ́ torí àti kékeré láti ń pẹ̀ka àròkò tó bá di ńlá tán wàhálà ni. Àwọn ọmọ mo ti mọ instances àwọn ọmọ tí wọ́n gbà tán sọ fún ìyá wọn ẹmọ pọ̀ tó ń fún wọn ní pocket money tí wọ́n sọ fún bàbá àti ìyá wọn. Àwọn yẹn wá bí mi torí mọ̀ pé mo lẹ́yìn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ń bẹ̀. In fact, ojúgbà mi tí àwọn ọmọ yẹn gbà tán gbọ́ pé mo fẹ́ lọ bí ẹni tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ń bẹ̀ ṣe náà sáré jẹ́wọ́ fún mi pé grandma àwọn ti gbówó àwọn ti lọ. So yẹ yín bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Then nígbà tí kìíní bẹ̀rẹ̀ àwọn southwestern people àwa tá wá láti Yorùbá land just like everything àtúnṣe ìjọba. So àwọn èèyàn ní scam ní gángan náà ní jẹ́gbẹ́. In tó shock many people ni pé àwọn northerners náà tètè kọ́kọ́ gbà jù because they went for it. Àwọn ọmọ wa ìjókòó síbi kọ́ máa fẹnu ba nǹkan tí Yorùbá ẹgbẹ́ wọn bá ṣe jẹ́. Tí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́fọ̀n yìí right now. Ẹ bá ọmọ Yorùbá tí ò gbà kó apply fún ni. Tó bá apply fún àgbà, wọn ò discriminate. Owó yẹn dẹ̀ wà ń bẹ̀. Ṣé owó tán gbà lọ́wọ́ àwọn tó jí wa lówó ni? Ó wà ń bẹ̀. Wọn ò tí ì sọ pé owó tán ń bẹ̀. So ọmọ tí ò bá gbà kò rí gbà náà ni. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá wa ṣe èmi mo wà more comfortable ní kí n máa gbọ́ ààrẹ àti àwọn other lectures lórí X even though inú mi dùn pé àwọn open more channels and the IT is getting better. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mo wá frustration yẹn bá mi mo wá láti máa sáré kiri pé mo láti gbọ́.
Mommy ẹ má bínú. What actually happened was that more than the Twitter crashed. Mr. Jolomi, ṣé n tó ṣẹlẹ̀ kọ́ yẹn ni?
Yes, that was what happened. Yeah.
So the Twitter crashed. So ní agbára Ọlọ́run ní next week, we are going to do everything humanly possible láti ensure pé the Twitter is 100% ready. Èmi gangan ni make sure pé we are going to work in the entire team. In fact, ibi tá ti gbé Yorùbá ronú dancing yìí, àwọn yẹn wà TikTok o, tán gbọ́ wa. Àwọn yẹn wà Telegram tán wò live. Telegram. They are watching us live. So, kò síbi téèyàn wà.
Madam Ajokade, mo rí ojú Sister Sarah, so I'm happy for the YouTube. Torí fọ́tò wọn ni mo kàn máa rí bí ìbò, mo rí ojú wọn.
Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀ mà. So ẹ má worry. So next week, lágbára Ọlọ́run, mommy, everything will be done properly. A máa make sure bó ṣe bó ṣe kàn ṣe. So gbogbo pé ó crash yẹn, bó ṣe crash làwọn èèyàn ni ó affect àwọn èèyàn. So it's not going to happen next week, lágbára Ọlọ́run. Ẹ ṣé mà.
So ọ̀gbẹ́ni Awodirin ṣe ẹ ti gbọ́ nǹkan tí màmá wa sọ nísìn. So bí a kẹ fún ọ̀rẹ́ yín yẹn kẹ fún wọn ní feedback. Gbogbo wípé scam ní nǹkan kan torí pé bí àwọn like Tinubu wọn like policy and also yẹn ò ní pé kán fi cancel nǹkan tí ó function tó work ẹ fún wọn ní feedback. Ẹ ṣé.
There is nobody up again. Kò sẹ́ni bọ̀ tí wàá lókè tó fẹ́ gba mic o.
Àwọn èèyàn wà ní TikTok. Ṣé wọ́n ní béèrè ní TikTok?
Any question TikTok? A lè gba question yín o.
On X now, you can drop your question, please. On Telegram as well, please. Sorry, let me call the number again.
Okay, wọ́n béèrè pé kí ni TYF ń ṣe on as regards Uzo's exhibition in Lagos. Well, we are trying to engage the proper authorities, and I'm not going to mention names because we are live on here. We are engaging the right authorities, and by next week, we are surely going to know the right way to go as regards to that lady. Lágbára Ọlọ́run. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. That's the question from TikTok. That's the question from TikTok. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. Okay, ẹ ṣé. Wọ́n náà ti rí dáhùn wa lórí TikTok. So, àwọn tó wà lórí Telegram, ṣé ẹ ní ìbéèrè fún wa? Ṣé ẹ ní ìbéèrè fún wa lórí Telegram? Okay, tí ò bá sí béèrè. So, ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà nínú ilé náà béèrè. Ẹ béèrè. Tẹ́pẹ́ wà nínú ilé yàrá agbára because we still have 10 minutes to go. Kí àwọn moderators kan tó sọ final round up. Ó yá.
Mo ní ìbéèrè o.
Yes, sir. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
And it's concerning what's happening. Kò tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ń wọrí báyìí sí.
Yes.
Where we have settlers holding claim to the land, and we have a state government tí wọ́n sọ pé we are fẹ́ dá sí. If things like this leads to anarchy, who is to blame in this issue? Is it the indigenes? Is it the settlers? Or is it the authorities who should have done what they need to have done?
Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. The reality is that the world is built on anarchy. The world is built on chaos. If you go and study human history for the past 1,000 years, ẹ máa rí pé most of what we call the current world order, orí chaos àti anarchy ni wọ́n build lé lórí. Our current world is premised on the First World War and the Second World War. It was after that war that led to the creation of the League of Nations and the United Nations. So the issue of war, the issue of anarchy is surely going to happen. Now, kí ni kí àwọn ìṣẹ̀kírì who are àwọn tó yẹ pé ẹ̀yin ní Yorùbá Delta State? Kí ni kán ṣe ní Warri? Number one, ìṣẹ̀kírì need to have a position which is bringing back the ìṣẹ̀kírì back to the West. Shall there any form of arrangement, short term or long term, to keep the ìṣẹ̀kírì people in Delta State? Oshima were counterproductive. The ìṣẹ̀kírì, and this is not a big deal. The ìṣẹ̀kírì used to be part of the Western region. Ìgbà tí wọ́n ti bàbá wa Awólọ́wọ̀ mọ́lé ni wọ́n yọ ìṣẹ̀kírì kúrò ní Western region, which can still be undone. So we need to bring back the ìṣẹ̀kíris. And one party was state creation. This is what should be the in fact the one position that the entire Yoruba race needs to agree on. We cannot watch while a single Yoruba race is being exterminated within Nigeria. Today, laughing so Nigeria is not a tea party. Nigeria is not a place where you are going to afford to be politically correct. Nigeria is not a place where you are going to assume that your neighbor is a pastor, your neighbor means well for you. Kosenti Omokpe Wari is from Iwere, which is a Yoruba word. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ti rí páwọn àjòjì ṣe náà jókòó tí nǹkan ní nǹkan wọ́n dẹ̀ sọ pé àwọn máa lé yín kúrò nílùú. Wọ́n dẹ̀ tún pa irọ́, wọ́n dẹ̀ múra kankan. Ó ní tójú tiwa náà rí Londo now. That they wanted to exterminate the Ilaje people out of their ancestral homeland. Kò ń ṣe government ló protect àwọn Ilaje ló protect ààrẹ. So Ilaje people must protect themselves. The Ishekiri people must protect themselves. Self-defense don't share. And you must educate your people about the geopolitics. There is nothing wrong in understanding. In that all of them say country. Tí wọ́n sọ pé ẹ ti wà pidgin síbẹ̀. Torí ẹ̀ ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa we need to understand geopolitics dáadáa. Torí ẹ̀ lọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ Ìṣẹ̀kírí ò understand tán pè ní South agenda, Niger Delta agenda. Tó bá lọ ṣe South agenda, ìjọ agenda ló lọ run yẹn. Ìjọ ń fi South and Niger Delta agenda, wọ́n fi ń kó everybody sábẹ́ ní as a negotiating power. Torí wọn ò nílẹ̀, wọn ò dẹ̀ ní population. They will use the rest of you to negotiate. So tá bá fẹ́ undo the dangers of many years, this is what we need to do. Ishekiri must be brought back to the southwest. Border delineation, that is the permanent solution to that place. And there must be negotiations. Biwashema Craft, who owns the land? These are things that can be done peacefully. And the Ishekiri must organize themselves politically. You cannot be doing human rights activism on the verge of extinction. And you have to understand the politics of interest, politics of identity, politics of survival. Same thing, no, la ń pariwo fún gbogbo ìran Yorùbá ń sìn. Gbogbo ìran Yorùbá ò gbọdọ̀ máa play politics of sentiment mọ́. Ìran Yorùbá gbọdọ̀ máa play politics of survival. The rest of Nigeria, the Igbos play politics of survival. The Fulanis practice politics of survival. You cannot be lackadaisical and be careless and be carefree, everything goes. No, kò lè rí bẹ́ẹ̀. So that's the solution. TYF has always been with the Ishekiri. We will continue to be with the Ishekiri to the ends of time. We will pray and we hope the entire Yoruba race, our political leaders, will also throw their weight into with the Ishekiris. So we must get it right. We must undo the damage that happened to the Ishekiris in the First Republic. Eshepupo.
All right, I have a question from inside. Eshegon, though we've dealt with it, but nevertheless, I just can question you so that Emma lay down. Frento Bire. What is Yoruba doing regarding the claim that Igbos are the first inhabitant of Ile-Ife?
Ṣé mo rí lórí TikTok. If you know lórí TikTok, ṣé náà lórí TikTok ni?
Orí TikTok kọ́, orí Zoom ló wà.
Okay, if you know lórí TikTok. Somebody asked that question on TikTok. So what we're doing is we've started a legal proceeding. We did a press conference, a global press conference about it, and our lawyers, our legal department are still getting correspondence from the different institutions, both within Nigeria and outside Nigeria, as regards this case. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀ o.
Host, ṣé a ṣì ní anyone ní stage lórí X?
Rárá,
Àbí a ní any
rárá.
question on any of the platforms? Okay.
So we're done for tonight then. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We would like you to visit us on our website, www.thinkyorubafirst.org. And please become a member of TYF by going to join.thinkyorubafirst.org.
We need to talk. We need to talk about the 3 million PVC drive. We have more than 1,000 people watching us live. So thank you so much. I would quickly like to talk about that. Once again, my name is Oladimeji Bolarinwa. I'm the president of Think Yoruba First organization worldwide. We are currently, because we understand that, like I used to say, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Voxi populi, voxi Dei. How do we make our political leaders listen to us? How do we make our political leaders take the Yoruba people serious like the days of Awolowo? How do we ensure that we tell our politicians without carrying guns and ammunitions that power actually belongs to us? How do we prove to our political leaders that the power of life and death, it is not in their hands, it is in the hands of Yoruba people? And that is by having by speaking with our votes, by having block votes, the ability to say, if you do not protect Yoruba land, we will not vote for you. There is nothing that scares any politician apart from such powers. The reason why we have this level of decadence in Yoruba land, it is because the Yoruba people have been voting irresponsibly. The reason why we have this level of decadence in Yoruba land, it is because we Yoruba people, which includes us, includes me, we have been irresponsible with our political decisions, with our political activities. TYF, through the Think Yoruba First Political Action Committee, says no. And we've embarked on a mission all the way from Abuja to Lagos, to Delta, to Kogi, to Ibadan, to Abeokuta, to Kwara, to Ilorin. We've started a campaign which is to have 3 million people, 3 million data of our people, where we'll be able to convince them, where we'll be able to mobilize them, where we'll be able to challenge them, where we'll be able to incite them, where we'll be able to engage them, to be able to put Yoruba first, to think Yoruba first, to understand the brutal politics of geopolitics of Nigeria. Just imagine, there is no single road that connects the larger people, the coastal Yoruba group line, all the coastal Yoruba groups in Nigeria. I'm talking about the Aworis, the Jebus, the Oeguns, the Lajes, the Apois, and the Shekiris. There is no single road network that connects these people. Yet, these people are sitting on oil and gas, rich resources. But thanks to a Yoruba president, in the person of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is doing a project that nobody thought could happen in the next 1,000 years. Roads are extremely important in power, in geopolitics, in leverages, in empire building. Go and look at all the great empires of the world. It's all about roads. It's all about roads. The best builders of roads and what made the Roman Empire powerful and unique was their unrivaled road networks. What about the Ottoman Empire or the Arab Islamic empires? It was because of their trans-Sahara road routes. What made the Oyo Empire great and unique and prosperous? It was because they controlled important roads during the time at the peak of their powers. So we have a president who fortunately was able to emerge despite of the conspiracy against him. This is why we must vote for the right person. Because if Tinubu did not become the president of Nigeria, that coastal road would just be a dream that many of us might not see till eternity. That is why we are embarking on that 3 million votes. To be part of it, the 3 million PVC drive, To be part of it, go to www.thinkyorubafirst.org. You are going to see join us. Just put in your data, and we automatically collect that data as part of the army. Our battle is not our means of battle. It's not guns, it's not ammunitions, it is not bullets, but intellectualism. Our intellectual sagacity, our PVC, the ability for us to mobilize and organize, dormant to dormant, treetops to treetops, door to door, villages to villages, cities to cities, brothers to brothers, mouth to mouth, churches to churches, mosque to mosque, in order to change the course of destiny. And you can do this with us. And TYF is all over the world. We're in America, we're in Ghana, we're in Canada, we're in Brazil, we're in Cuba, we're in Nigeria, we're in Benin Republic, we are in 11 states in Nigeria as we speak. I'm talking about the 10 states where Yoruba people are indigenous to, plus the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja. We're in Benin Republic, we're in Togo, we're in Cote d'Ivoire, we're in Sierra Leone, we're in Gambia, and we are all over Europe. There's TYF Europe, there's TYF Asia. If you're in Asia, you can also join us. We have TYF Japan. We are organizing our people. And because without us being organized, the Yoruba people do not stand a chance to survive the multipolar world order. Please join us. And if you also want to donate to us, because we are doing a huge project, very soon, by next month, we will be launching the TYF microcredit scheme. I don't want to talk about it much. I want to keep it under wraps, where we are going to be giving interest-free loans to Yoruba market women in strategic places all across Yoruba land. There's TYF Yoruba language schools. If you are abroad, you want your children to learn how to speak Yoruba, also go there, register. We've been running that institution for the past 4 years. We also have TYF IT school, where we are teaching young Yoruba youths, both men and women, boys and girls. We are teaching them cybersecurity, networking. And we are going to really expand this very, very soon, where you are going to see a proper school built on the foundations of Yoruba civilization. We need you. If you really also want to donate to us, go to www.thinkyorubafirst.org. Give us anything, your widow's mite, so that we can continue to preach the gospel of Yorubanism. Whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Muslim, whether you are agnostic, whether you are an atheist, no matter who you are, boys and girls, men and women, young and old, always think Yoruba first. The Jews think Jews first. The Arabs think Arab first. The Germans think German first. The Chinese think Chinese first. The Fulani think Fulani first. Why can't you think Yoruba first? Because by thinking Yoruba first, the 1884 Berlin West African Conference that broke Yoruba people into countries all across West Africa will not be able to prevent us from fulfilling our destiny. And what's in our destiny? The unification of the Yoruba people into a powerful geopolitical bloc. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires what we are doing here. And we cannot achieve it except you join us. We'll be waiting for you. Get across to us. You are even going to see, go to our and also on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Telegram, we're on anyhow you call it. And we also want to beg our people. Our Instagram page, we lost our Instagram page of thousands of followers some months back. That is why we are not streaming on Instagram. We will surely want our people to follow our Instagram page and engage it, so that we'll be able to take this message of Yoruba nationalism, of Yoruba self-preservation to Instagram. The harvest is full, but the laborers are few. There are millions and millions of Yoruba people waiting to hear this message of hope, this message of liberation. If you really want to join us, please join us. You have skills you want to bring on board. You want to be a volunteer. You are in Lagos, you want to join us. Please join us. Those of us that are doing this, we are not superhumans. You can come on board. We will need your help. We will need your services so that we can fulfill our destiny. May Olodumare continue to bless the entire Yoruba race. Think Yoruba first. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
Thank you once again for joining us tonight. That will be all for tonight. We'll see you again next week on the same platforms at the same time. Please stay safe and sound, and we'll see you next week. Good night.